It was an era of darkness that had prevailed over the whole of Arabia. No one was safe or content, and people lived in a state of daily chaos. The Kaaba that Allah had once destined for his own worship was now filled with idols, almost one for each day of the year. At this time of darkness and gloom, when the poor, the slaves, and the needy would look up to the skies and cry out, "Will no one come to help us?" Allah had mercy on them and sent the one who would bring great change to mankind. And so begins the most remarkable chapter. Somewhere in the household of the honorable family of Quraysh slept Amina, a bereft widow carrying the child of her late husband Abdullah. She was from the noble tribe of Banu Zohra, and he was the son of Abdul Muttalib. Merchants by profession, Abdullah often had to travel to neighboring countries. On his return from a trip to Syria, he fell ill and died in Medina, leaving behind his newly married bride and unborn child. Hazrat Amna gave birth to a baby boy. Hazrat Muttalib, the grandfather, was given the great news of the blessed birth, and the child was named Muhammad, which means immensely praised. To give thanks for the birth of his grandson, Hazrat Muttalib carried baby Muhammad around the Kaaba. And so, the Holy Prophet of Islam was born. From then on, Allah bestowed his benevolence on all those who touched his messenger. Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was subjected to trial from a very early age. When he was only 6, his mother passed away, and then, after a few years, he lost his grandfather too. Alone again, he was put into the care of his uncle Abu Talib. He was a shy, quiet child who would be deeply affected by the poverty which he saw on his travels with his grandfather. He grew up into a man renowned for his kindness to relatives and his care for the poor and the needy. In Meccan society, he was known as Sadiq, the truthful, and Amin, the honest. His fair dealings made him well known amongst the trade community in particular. This is how Hazrat Khadija came to hear of him. Despite being 15 years his senior, she was so impressed by his character that she sent a proposal of marriage to him. Muhammad believed in one God and was saddened by the idol worship which was rife in Mecca. He often retreated to a mountain cave called Hira, where he could be alone with his Lord, and sometimes several days would pass before he would return home. There, he would engross himself in prayer and meditation, and as a result, he experienced many dreams. When he was 40 years old, an extraordinary incident took place in the cave. The date was 610 AD. In the cave of Hira, situated within the Arabian Peninsula, Hazrat Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, began the journey of fulfilling his role as the greatest prophet of mankind. With the command of God, the angel Gabriel visited the prophet and said, "Recite." Muhammad replied that he did not know how to recite. The angel insisted, and at last made the prophet recite the following verses. This is the first revelation that the prophet received. It has tremendous meaning. It commands him to proclaim the oneness of God, the Creator of all men. He returned home to his wife, Hazrat Khadija, shaking and trembling. She immediately tried to comfort him, and to reassure him further, she suggested they consult her cousin, Waraka bin Nawfal. On hearing the Holy Prophet's miraculous account, Waraka bin Nawfal responded with conviction. The angel who descended on Moses has descended upon you. He also told him that he would have to present himself to his people, and warned him that it would not be easy. O ye wrapped in the cloak, arise, and warn, and magnify your Lord. Purify yourself, and stamp out idolatry. He was now convinced of his mission, to call people to the oneness of God, and so the message was about to be revealed to the world. When he announced his proclamation, the closest members of his family accepted him immediately. First was his wife, Hazrat Khadija, then Zaid, a slave that the Holy Prophet had freed and raised as his own. His cousin, Ali, the son of Abu Talib, whom he had taken under his care from the age of 5, and finally Hazrat Abu Bakr. To Hazrat Muhammad's intense disappointment, his uncles Abu Talib, Abbas and Hamza were not interested. Abu Talib, who was the chief of the Hashim tribe, had a lot of regard for his nephew, and explained to him that he could not abandon the religion of his forefathers, but he did not prevent his family members making their own choice to follow him. In the first 3 years of secret and quiet preaching, he managed to build up a small group of fervent believers. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was aware that his claim would threaten the old-fashioned Quraysh, and this was one reason he kept a low profile. In the beginning of the 4th year of his ministry, he started receiving revelations that commanded him to declare himself publicly. O Prophet, the command that has been given to thee, announce it to people clearly and openly. He stood on Mount Safa and with a loud and pronounced voice called each tribe of the Quraysh by name. When they all gathered, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, asked them, O Quraysh, if I said a huge army is on the other side ready to attack you, will you believe me? As they knew him to be the most honest and truthful from among them, they immediately said they would. But when he gave the divine message, they all laughed and ridiculed him. As more people assembled to listen to the Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad felt the need of a place where the Muslims could gather together for worship and guidance. For this purpose, he chose the house of Arqam, situated on the slopes of Mount Safa. The Meccan chiefs, recognizing that they could not simply beat the Muslims to submission, approached the Prophet's uncle Abu Talib. They told him to dissuade his nephew from preaching his message. In return, they offered to make the Holy Prophet their chief. They offered him wealth and the hand of any woman of his liking. Abu Talib relayed this message to the Holy Prophet, who replied, I say that even if they were to place the sun on my right hand and the moon on my left, I would not desist from preaching the truth. I must go on doing so until I die. You can choose your own pleasure. Abu Talib replied, My nephew, go your way. Do your duty. Let my people give me up. I am with you And the Holy Prophet did exactly that. He continued to spread his message and to fulfill his duty to God.
Hazrat Sayyadi Bulde Adam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam सब नबियों में अफजल